Hello, everybody, and welcome to Betweenplays Stock Market Strategies. And of course, we have Mr. Killian Charles, someone that everybody recognizes here on our show. I mean, I think we've been covering Brunswick since probably 2021, 2022, one of those 2 years, maybe 2021. It's been a
Since the
while.
last, it's been since the last time Montreal played Tampa Bay in the playoffs.
Well, that's hilarious because we were just talking about that, and yeah, that's funny because we're playing Tampa Bay, and look, I don't know. Do you want to talk about it for 2 seconds? Do you want to go? I mean, like I just telling you, I got my cap here, I got my mug here, and
Look, we don't need to make it complicated. Just unfortunately for everyone that's a Maple Leafs fan, go Habs go, and we leave it at that.
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. That's amazing, but I agree with you. All right, all right, all right. Okay, so let's get down to business. You put out a press release. Naturally, I am invested in the company, right? So for people like myself, Mirage was already exciting. And I had put out some stuff about how excited I was about Mirage. And now you have Anatacau. And that press release is also very exciting. So can we just go a little bit into Anatacau? I mean, I believe it's open in all directions. This is something that we haven't found the end of it, and the grades are phenomenal. So can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah, look, I mean, and that's always been just as a the start off. That's always been the fun thing about Brunswick, right? Because we recognized that opportunity early on that there was really a huge potential for lithium across not just Quebec, but the world as well. It meant that we built up and gave ourselves so many different opportunities, so many different projects, and for us, our view has always been, look, we found Mirage.
Yeah.
Mirage is a wonderful project, 52 million tons, with an additional 40 to 50 million ton exploration target. It's gonna grow. It's got everything that we want, but that's we know we can do more. We know we can find the next Mirage in Quebec, maybe in Greenland, maybe in Saudi Arabia, maybe in other parts of the world. And that's the fun thing. And we're sort of demonstrating that ability now with Anatacau, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's still early days, but wow, imagine if that's the next Mirage. Imagine if we find another 50 million ton deposit right there. I mean, all of a sudden, that's so much value creation to, Brunswick and to its shareholders. And you're absolutely right. The grade, the widths. I mean, we're hitting impressive widths. That first press release we put out in November last year, 120 meters at 1.31%. Then again, followed it up 97 meters, and it's open. And so this is something that is growing. We still see a lot of upside, and it's absolutely going to be another core pillar of the Brunswick, valuation here. That's just, I don't even think fully captured by the market as of yet. So there's still so much upside left to go do. And in the context here, I think the Cal's a very interesting project. It's situated 22 kilometers away, right next from a fully permitted lithium mine, or I should say project from Rio Tinto that is going to be a mine one of these days because it's got all its permits.
Okay.
And, we are defining easy, accessible, at surface tons along the same corridor. There's over 100 million tons on the Rio Tinto ground. And 20 kilometers away, we're finding, what seems to be the exact same thing, the same widths, the same grade. So it's really, really exciting. There's a lot of potential as we keep drilling it to the east, and we're still only scratching the surface. That's the most exciting part of all of this is
Yeah.
that the campaign we did last year was, really just a broad first stroke here. Just the simplest of drill holes, only seven, I believe, or sorry, six across the entire program, next to nothing.
Yeah. That's
All right.
that's yeah.
And
That's the
now,
very beginning phases. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Now we've
Yeah.
expanded, we've confirmed again, it's still open. That main dike's still open in all directions, but we have more results coming where we marched that drill rig further to the east. We sent it on a mission where we wanted to find more, and we're really excited to be able to share the results out of that. But even those results are just going to be scratching the surface.
It's
I
crazy.
mean, we have a fence that we planned, and there's pretty much going to be a hole in each one of those, points on the fence here. That's not enough.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, we know we're gonna find a lot here, and that's why we knew this last year after we drilled. That's why we immediately went into drilling it this year. We've got to strategize inside when we want to come back. We want to go back to Mirage because, of course, it's Mirage. It's a
Yeah,
great asset that's
yeah,
itself open in so many directions.
yeah. It's
And then
crazy.
as we look further to the rest of the year, I mean, we'll be back at Anatacau after we put all these results. I've got metallurgical results that need to come out. I mean, I've got so much more stuff to do
It's
here.
starting now. Everything's just starting to pile on because in the beginning you're searching, but now you just keep on drilling, and more is coming out, and it's like, okay, we have all this now to do, and it's just piling on one thing over the other. That
No, that's
you got
that's
to,
exactly it. And
yeah,
that's the fun thing for a shareholder. Right? For a shareholder, it's like, you know what? Not only do I have Mirage here, I got Anatacau, and I've got
yeah,
Anatacau, but I've also got this discovery in Greenland, the only
yeah,
lithium discovery there. Oh, and by the way, they're looking to consolidate Saudi Arabia. And by the way, I mean,
yeah. It's
it
pretty
doesn't
nuts.
get better than that. Like you're
No,
not gonna find a company that offers the same leverage and the same opportunities as Brunswick. There's a lot of great companies with great project,
that's true.
singular,
That's
right?
right.
With
Yeah,
one good project.
that's right.
But
Yeah,
here's Brunswick with a multitude of them. And that's really, really unique. And that allows us to stand out from the competition. And really, it's part of what drives us, right? That
yeah,
opportunity to say, hey, look, we can deliver quite a lot to the market. I mean, just again, going back to Anatacao. I mean, we've got that northern trend where we've drilled now. We're going to be
yeah.
releasing more results next month and into June.
Yes.
But there's this whole other Pontax trend, all right, where we potentially have more spodumene bearing pegmatites, and this is a whole unexplored trend. It sort of
Is that
is
the
to
one?
the
Is that the one under NIS? That's the or
so no,
six
there's
point
the
eight and then
Galaxy
one point five
NIH
two.
trend. So
Yeah,
no, there's the Galaxy NIH trend that
yeah.
runs east to west. All
That's okay.
right.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
All right. So that goes from Rio Tinto's ground onto our ground.
yeah. Well,
But
that,
then
yeah.
if
Okay.
you look at our property, there's this second trend that runs southwest to northeast, and it's called the Pontax. All
Yeah,
right. And along there are other lithium projects, and we own a huge chunk of it. And we think we have multiple potential pegmatites on there that contain lithium. And one of the work we're going to do this summer is we're going to look to ascertain, hey, is there any, drill targets along this secondary trend? So here we are. We could have one property with two major mineralized trend. I mean, that's just gravy on gravy here. Like it's
absolutely.
just outrageous the potential that we're delineating at Anatacao on top of everything else that we're doing.
And the grades that you keep on always getting, even at Mirage, I mean, they're pretty spectacular. We're always like pretty much over 1%. And I saw something with a 6.8 meter, 1.52%, something that's near the NS or under the NS or something like that. I don't know what that's about, but
So most of the time, what you'll have is you'll have like one main body, and then you'll
yes,
have secondary bodies next to it. But exactly to your point, it's high grade. I think that's
it's
something that's
huge.
really neat, is
Yeah,
that we're seeing a high grade ore body, very well mineralized, nice and thick,
yeah.
next door to what is going to potentially be a future mine. Kind of doesn't get better than that, to be quite honest.
No, not at all. And then of course you have the Greenland asset as well, which is phenomenal. But let me just come back to Canada for a second. Let me come back to Canada. There was something that you've been saying for a long time. Look, you honestly, you hit when one time we did the Killian Charles takes off his CEO hat and goes back to being the analyst, right? And you came on and you were talking about, if there's something in the middle of nowhere, all right,
Yeah.
like what is it going to cost to build the infrastructure to get there and stuff like that? And you explained why you're looking closer, 50-kilometer ranges and all this kind of stuff, right? Stuff in that general area. Mirage now is sitting at 52.2, right? Million tons, right? And you're in the zone. Your infrastructure ranges are all there, just like you said,
Oh
including
yeah.
Anatacau. So, you were looking at the mine. I mean, over 50 million tons. Is that something that is interesting here? What's the game plan now? Now that you
I
hit your
mean,
50,
where do I and actually that's been a lot of internal debate. See,
oh
the fun thing with Brunswick and specifically with Mirage is that we don't even know how big it can be. I mean, that 50 million ton, that initial resource, 52 million ton initial resource we put out
yeah,
was for us just a quick snapshot. We still
yeah,
have a significant exploration target on top of that. And there's still a significant amount of other targets on top of that that are not even captured by the exploration target.
wow.
So to me, it becomes one of these things. It's like, well, okay, is it 50 million tons? But what if it's 75? What if it's 100? What
Oh,
if it's 125? What if it's 150, right? Those are, I don't know.
stop. As a shareholder, you're making me cry.
No, but that's the fun thing, and that's why when we're going back this summer, it's not to do infill drilling. We're not looking to do infill drilling, and yeah, we'll eventually get to that, but we ourselves, just as geos in this company,
Yeah,
want to know how big it is. I can't
wow,
even answer that right now, and I find
crazy.
that so exciting. I
It
mean,
is exciting.
great. I've got my base.
Yeah, you got your
That's
base.
perfect.
Yeah,
I've crossed my threshold.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Now the question is, how good can we make it? Isn't that a fun question to ask, as opposed
100%.
to just like, oh man, maybe if I do this and
No,
I
it's super
squeeze
exciting.
that,
There's no more
I'll
maybes.
get it to
Yeah,
what
no,
I.
no.
No, no, get
Now
out of
you're
that
there.
train. Like
You're
now
there.
we're just seeing how big can we do it? Where can we go with this? What's the full potential of this asset?
Yeah,
And that's what we're going to be driving at Mirage this
yeah,
whole summer. It's just how big can it get? Which is funnily enough the same question we're even asking ourselves at Anatacau.
yeah. And at the cow.
Great. How big can it
That's
get?
how big can it get? And the grades are beautiful.
Yeah.
So that brings us to Greenland then. I mean, what's the play there now? What are we how are we going to be looking at that? I mean, you got two potentially big things here right in Quebec. And now you got Greenland. And then we could hit Saudi Arabia right after. But I mean, Greenland itself, I mean, this thing could I mean, what's your expectation or how are you
Look,
looking at this?
my it's I always ask myself the same question, right? Doesn't matter where I am, it's the same criterias, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask myself the same question when it comes to Greenland. How big can it get? Can it meet my thresholds? Can it be bigger than 50 million tons?
Yes.
And that's not changing. I mean, I've got a lot of opportunities. I mean, I obviously identified a major dike field. There's lots of good targets in there.
Yes.
This summer we're going back to Greenland. We haven't even touched the eastern half of the country. We've got a bunch of claims there. We got to go test them out. We
That's crazy.
absolutely will this summer. So that's, a whole other upside there. But yeah, right now it's almost balancing the logistical aspects of all these projects where we've
Yeah.
got too many opportunities in front of us. But
Wow.
Greenland is
Good
going to be the
good
same
problem to
thing.
have.
I mean, exactly. If I don't get to it this year, that's not a problem. It's because I've got so many
No.
other good things, and
Exactly.
that's just further upside down the line, right? That's
Exactly.
just something else I'll be doing when these projects. And look, that's normal if you think about it. Most investors are very familiar with the Lassonde curve, right? Classically, you make a discovery, the stock moves up, everyone gets excited. How big can it be? And Mirage and Anatacau are in that fun part of the Lassonde curve. But then the Lassonde curve turns. And then you go into this long period of time where you're just flat, right? And you're just doing permitting, important work,
Yeah.
extremely important work.
100%.
But value creation, pure value creation
Yep.
is limited. And by having like assets like Greenland, one day when Anatacao or Mirage enters that part of the Lassonde curve, great. I got something right back there that's exciting at the front part of the Lassonde curve. So investors get to have the best of both worlds. They
100%.
get to sit down and have all of that protected sort of define value creation from permitting, from economic studies, showing the value of the project once our assets have reached that point.
Yes.
And then as those more advanced projects transition towards that more slower part of the curve, then we've got something that's starting off once more and that gets to ride a big wave and to generate excitement. And oh my God, how big can it be?
Yeah.
And then as that project, maybe Greenland, moves into, the second half of the Lassonde curve,
Yeah.
then I've got Saudi Arabia coming behind it.
Yes.
And maybe I've made a discovery there and I'm driving that one forward. And as Saudi Arabia moves through it, then I move into another country, like
So
another project.
this begs the question, and I jokingly we sat down one day and I mentioned this. I mean, this looks like right now you got a worldwide strategy. This almost reminds me of Ganfeng. I mean, because they're worldwide. I'm not saying that look, but
No, but
it's
this is how the majors explore.
you're
But you bring
what
up
you're
a
doing
good
is
point.
global positioning here. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yeah, but and if you take a step back, this is how all the majors explore. Don't kid yourself. All
Oh,
right.
okay, okay,
When a major, and that's why you bring up Ganfeng is a great example. They're a major lithium producer,
okay.
and
Thank you.
whether they have the same experience as we have in Brunswick is, I'll be biased and say we have more experience than them, but we'll set that aside.
Okay.
No, the big thing is that if you look how BHP, how Rio Tinto, how
Okay.
Barrick, how Newmont, how they explore,
Yes.
with that same mindset. Start with the entire country. All right. Look for as many targets as possible. Start filtering through them to find the only ones that matter.
Which you did.
And it's that same DNA. I find a lot of companies have missed that concept of working. They immediately go into just development, into just working one asset and nothing else. And we abandon everyone. We fire all the teams. It's only going to be engineers. It's only, no offense to engineers, it's only going to be permitting staff. And that's all great. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, I just don't believe that's where the opportunity is inside Brunswick. I think that there's so much more that we can deliver in here by exploring and working like the majors do.
Okay.
And I find it almost a little bit sad that it takes a June like that, we're one of the few companies that explore like that.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
shouldn't be the case. I mean, I
Okay.
should have a lot of competition out there. And to be
I don't
quite
think so.
frank, I don't. I
No.
don't have a lot of competition.
No, you don't.
And look, perfect. That's more for me and my shareholders, right?
100%. I'm good with that.
I'm happy to hear it. No, look, and
I'm
we're
I'm,
gonna
I'm,
push.
I'm good. I'm good with that.
No, but we're
But
gonna push hard. Like that's the upside here. And by starting with these broad, large scale programs, we
yeah,
give ourselves the best chances of finding something. And by being aggressive, we keep that first mover advantage, right? That allows us to generate so much wealth, so much value to our shareholders.
that's amazing. I have a last question for you, Killian. You raised some money lately. So, where are we going to be putting that? What do you think you're going to be doing with that money now?
I mean, look, there's a lot of places that money can go. Um, at the end of the day, here, it's going to be a question of where do I get, and this is always how we've worked inside Brunswick, but
Yes.
where do I get the most bang for buck,
Yeah, it's
right?
good.
That
Good philosophy.
flexibility, yeah, that flexibility by having a multitude of project,
Yeah.
I can take a step back and say, well, wait a minute. If I'm spending $1, all
Yeah.
right, across, be it Anatacau, be it Mirage, be it Greenland, be it Saudi, be it something else,
Yeah.
every time I ask the same question to my team, like, what is the best way to spend that dollar?
Yeah.
Is
You're looking
this
at
the
value on your
most
dollar.
work I can do for that dollar?
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes it changes. That's
Of
why
course.
we're moving from project to project because we want to demonstrate the value of all of them.
Yes.
But we're always flexible. Maybe I say to myself, well, you know what? That dollar allows me to do, X amount of work in Greenland.
Absolutely.
But
You're
in
looking for the
Saudi
value that it
Arabia,
brings.
yeah, but in Saudi Arabia, I get to do 4x what I could do in
Makes
Greenland.
sense. Yeah,
Well,
makes
you know
sense.
what? I'll
Yeah.
put it in Saudi instead. Greenland's not going.
Smart.
Those rocks aren't
Smart.
going
I didn't think
anywhere.
about that. You're right. Smart. Yeah, because of the exchange and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
The exchange and the cost of operating there, and
Yeah.
then same thing. I look at a project and I say, well, okay, well I can spend $1 at Anatacau for drilling,
Yeah.
but is that dollar of drilling? What am I going to hit?
Yeah.
Or
One.
vice versa, that dollar at drilling at Mirage, what am I going to hit? Is it
Yeah.
better than $1 spent at Anatacau? And so that gives us the flexibility
Yeah.
to ensure that we're always maximizing our spend. So
Smart.
yes, we've got plans to drill at
Very
Mirage. We
smart.
have plans to return to Anatacau. We have plans to prospect Greenland. We have plans to all these things. But we always stay flexible. I mean, that's the fun thing about a junior as well, is that we have that flexibility to turn on a dime if necessary. If we make a discovery somewhere in our portfolio, then we can start to, attribute capital towards it and ensure it gets done and that value gets maximized for the company and again for its shareholders.
It's
So no,
awesome.
we're going to stretch every dollar here. There's no two ways around it.
Well, there's two things I'm looking forward to. The whole development of Brunswick Exploration and the Canadians winning the cup.
No, I tell you. You can add a third one. You can add a third one to that one.
Oh, what's
And
the third one?
yeah. I mean, again, now you're just pissing off everyone in Toronto
I'm
here.
doing it on
They're gonna
purpose.
struggle. They're gonna struggle to see a Habs jersey, a Habs hat there,
There's-
and a mug.
They're gonna
But
believe me. I when I first started, I used to put this on in 2020. I'm telling you, there was a lot of comments, and it was
people will be chirping. I have no doubt about it.
yeah. They can chirp. They can chirp. All right.
But no, like what I think what people need to understand as well is that it's not Brunswick is once more the right company for the right time. And
Yeah, I agree.
I want listeners to walk away from more than anything else, I want them to walk away with this.
Yeah.
If you look since the start of this generously described kerfuffle going on in the Middle East,
Yes.
there's only two commodities that have performed well, right? Only two across the entire plethora of commodities.
Okay.
We'll set aside oil for now because that's doing its own little thing on the side. But
Oh,
for
yeah.
the more minerals and rocky and metallic commodities,
Yes.
it's only been tungsten and lithium. Gold got crushed, silver got crushed,
Yeah.
copper
Yeah.
got crushed. All of those things went down, all right? And they went down a lot. And they're scratching their way up. But you know what? Lithium barely flinched.
Well,
And if anything, it's up almost 15% since the start of this kerfuffle. And that is astounding because unlike all those other commodities where there can be a lot of financial plays in there
yeah.
and rush to, exit position for liquidity, that
Absolutely.
doesn't really exist on the spodumene, the hydroxide, or the carbonate side.
No.
It's pretty much all real demand. And
Oh,
so
well,
you are
yeah.
seeing real demand, and all of this noise out there is forcing a lot of companies and it's forcing a lot of governments to once more look at their energy mix. Not from a let's save the planet, which is important, mind you,
Of
but
course.
from a
Well, yeah, we both agree with that anyways. I mean, we both
yeah,
have children and stuff like that. So, yeah, absolutely.
but also from an energy independence
Yeah.
perspective and from an energy safety and security.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference. And I
Yeah.
think that this noise is highlighting the need for people to look at, ways of governments for ways of protecting themselves and their economy and their energy. And that is a clear win, a clear drive for lithium demand. And so
Absolutely.
Brunswick is the right company at the right time. You're
I
gonna
agree.
see the lithium price continue to increase. Don't be surprised if you start to see articles being like, hey, geez, the lithium price increased like 25, 30, 40% since the start of the year. Don't be surprised if you start seeing articles around that by, July, August, September. And then you're like, wow, maybe I should be start investing in lithium companies.
It's an
Well,
article I might be putting out.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. But now's the time to be looking at stuff like that. And
Yeah.
again, Brunswick is positioned because our portfolio on an international basis is positioned to benefit from that. Quebec for North America, Greenland for Europe, Saudi for Europe and the Middle East, right? It's thought out very, very carefully in terms of where we are situated to take advantage of, this deglobalization trend and all of these, things that are happening, all these conflicts that are happening around the world. And when governments think about security, we think about it as well. And we think about how do we position Brunswick for that. And so again, I'll say it one more time. Brunswick is the company that is positioned for this moment. And we will be taking advantage of that.
Well said. Well said. I completely.
Also, go Habs, go.
Yes. Also, go Habs, go. Thank you, Killian, for being on the show once again. Of course, we always want you back on the show. So we just want to say thank you for all the listeners out there watching. And thank you, Killian, for you and your team, all the hard work that you've put in and the dedication.
Thank you. It's a pleasure as always to be here.
All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon back on Between Plays.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Between Plays. It's the journey and what you do between where you are and where you want to be. Research, prepare, plan, and execute your strategy. Do your DD and stay strong in visualizing and achieving your goals. Our strategy is unique since 2020. An original concept imitated, never duplicated. Real conversations with media influencers, educational and expert speakers, analysts and consultants. Between Plays, bridging the gap between companies and investors.